Okay, so still looking at section C, resource management, we've got our large scale water supply strategy in an LIC or NEE, which is Lesotho, which is the Highland project. So Lesotho is a landlocked country in South Africa, and the Highlands Water Project aims to transfer water from areas of a surplus, so in the Highlands of Lesotho, to South Africa, which are in a deficit, so areas that desperately need that water. They are doing that through dams, reservoirs, tunnels that are going to take the water from the Orange River and transfer it to South Africa. So, why is it needed? So, South Africa is an NEE, so they're developing. They need this water for urbanization, for economic growth, and they are a relatively dry climate. Equally, this is really beneficial for Lesotho as they are an LIC. So they see this as an opportunity to make money, and we then can talk about the multiplier effect and how it can improve. The money can be spent on infrastructure like healthcare and schools, which therefore can improve quality of life. And then you've also got environmental conservation. So let's think just about the advantages first, the positives. I've tried to divide them up into economic, social, and environmental. So, as I've just suggested, it actually provides 75% of Lesotho's GDP. We can then talk about development and improving standards of living because the multiplier effect. Job creation, it's created thousands of jobs for the local population. Social, it has actually improved the water supply in Lesotho as well and provided 90% of the population with clean water in the capital. And it's also helped improve sanitation. Being an LIC, sanitation was not that high. Sanitation coverage increased from 15 to 20%. That 5% seems small, but it will be large in a country like Lesotho. Socially, it provides safe water to 10% of the population without access to safe water. Economically, in South Africa, it's good for economic activity in the Gauteng province and industry and energy. Socially and environmentally, it helps drought. And environmentally as well, it's going to improve the ecosystem. So they did have water pollution from industry, sewage, gold mines. However, this influx of fresh water is helping to restore the balance and help biodiversity. Your disadvantages for Lesotho is communities had to be displaced. So 30,000 people had to move. Some of those were indigenous. They'd lived on that land for a long period of time. It was their way of life. Environmentally, regular flooding, which helps to control the downstream of the dams, but then obviously the destruction of the unique wetland. And corruption has prevented the money and investment from reaching those affected by the construction. So those 30,000 people that got displaced got promised money, and that never happened due to corruption. Disadvantages for South Africa: the water cost is significant and must be borne by the South African government. Costs are likely to reach 4 billion. Socially and economically, 40% of that water is lost to leaks. So the government are paying for this water from Lesotho and it's not actually arriving to them. And because of high costs and water leakages, the government put up their water tariff prices. So some of the poorest people in South Africa are not actually going to be able to afford this water that's being transferred. This could come up in a variety of ways. This has never actually come up as a proper question, only in a specimen paper, so it could be quite likely. So, evaluate the success of a large scale water supply strategy in an LIC NEE. So, if you're evaluating, you're making a judgment. Think about your positives and your negatives. Success, how effective is it at supplying water? So, you could just see there, I've put two facts that I could remember down: the 75% GDP and the 40% loss through leakages in South Africa. I've then made sure I've written my case study down. Because it says large scale, this is where you talk about Lesotho. And then I've also wrote how I would structure this question. I would do one paragraph with your successes in Lesotho and South Africa, one paragraph for the ineffectiveness, and then your overall opinion.